This is the Into the Paddock podcast.
Every one of the leaders had pitted except for Lando Norris. Lando had been running in about fourth, I believe, at the time and was on an extended tyre strategy and had subsequently inherited the lead of the race but still owed a pit stop. The safety car came out just as he had passed pit entry, so I was immediately thinking, he's missed his opportunity here. If he had just been able to nip into the pit lane as the safety car came out, he would have had a cheaper pit stop and he would have emerged right around Max, either just in front or just behind on fresher tyres, and then we would have had a good race on because his pace looked really good. Then the safety car didn't pick him up, and it picked up Max instead, and the gap, which had been around 20 seconds, ballooned to almost 40 seconds, I believe, by the time Lando actually entered the pit lane, and subsequently Lando came out well ahead of the safety car once again. Eventually, the safety car let everybody through and readdressed the positions, and they managed to pick up Lando again. But at this point, Lando Norris was now leading the Miami Grand Prix with the newest tyres of everyone, and a car that, with its upgrades earlier in the race, had been keeping pace with Max when both were in clear air. So we actually suddenly realised there is a huge chance for Lando Norris to get his first Grand Prix win, if he can hold him off and defend a position, which has been his thing before. He doesn't like to defend against Max Verstappen. We've seen that. If he could hold on. And he did. He almost fluffed the restart. He gave Max a very, very good opportunity to go up the inside into turn one, but he managed to hold him off. And from there, he pulled away. Pulled away. He gapped Max, and it wasn't like he broke the DRS. Then Max just kept falling back further and further. He stayed second, but Max was fair and square outpaced for the rest of that race, and subsequently Lando Norris won his first Grand Prix.
He fucking did it.
He did
Let's
it.
go. Yeah, that was, oh man, I was almost tearing up watching it, right? Like, it's finally happened. The most podiums out of any Grand Prix driver without a win.
Yeah, take that, Nick Heidfeld. Have your record back, you scrub.
This is a good sign. This is a good sign for the team. This is a good sign for the sport as a whole.
They're close enough where they can capitalize when luck goes their way.
Right.
If the safety car hadn't happened, then I think Lando would have ended up on the podium, but I don't think he would have ended up challenging
Correct.
Max. If the safety car had picked him up properly, I think he would have come out around Max and it would have been a fight. But I think Max, it's Formula One, they can't overtake. I think Max would have held him off. But that's like, luck is motorsport.
Right.
There's loads of ifs in motorsport. Max Verstappen had a brilliant quote in the press conference after the race when he was asked whether he would have won without the safety car, and Max's direct quote was, "It's all about if. If my mum had balls, she would have been my dad." We're still waiting for someone to go up there, fight Max Verstappen for a win, and come out on top. The only times we've had that so far in the turbo hybrid era have been where Max has been starting well behind and Sergio has won, or he's retired, like in Australia, or here where strange, convenient circumstances paved the way. I don't want to take that away from Lando, because he and the team still performed a really great weekend, brought the upgrades. They rushed to get the upgrades here to Miami, and to be fair, without the upgrades, I don't think they would have been in a position to capitalise, so it was a great team effort. And Norris executed when he needed to. He had the opportunity ahead of him. He had to keep Max behind him on that restart. He did it, and then he pulled away. And then it was perfect from there. So I don't want anyone to confuse this as us bashing Norris. I might be a little bit annoyed that on a weekend where Piastri was relatively outclassing him, Norris managed to get a win from the jaws of defeat. But it was still an incredible performance for Norris, and he's someone who said he's taken the criticism against him for not getting a win yet quite personally recently. People always remind him about Sochi, where his and the team's indecision on the wet tyres cost him the win. But he hasn't had an opportunity to win a Grand Prix since that, and now he has, and he's now won a Grand Prix.
Yeah. The opportunity presented itself. They were there. They capitalized on it. They had the right strategy. They made the right calls. They 100% deserved this win. Right? This was on merit. This was on everything. Andy was pulling away, so there's a plus even, right, to it. So yeah, no, I don't want to bash Lando or the team or even Formula One right now, right? Because again, they fucking did the thing. They showed up and they won it. So good job.
And it's a rare, really good story for Formula One as well. And this is the thing that I find so incredibly frustrating about Formula One. You know, anyone who's listened to any episode of this podcast will know how much I despise Formula One at times. You know, it's terrible. It's too expensive. The cars can't race. It's corrupt. The FIA can't make decisions on anything. I hate it. But then a day like yesterday happens, and you see that reaction of the team and the driver winning their first Grand Prix, and you're reminded of everything that Formula One can be. And it's that feeling. It's that feeling of the one time you stop watching it and you'll miss something like that, and you'll be like, oh, I wish I'd seen that. You know, all that anticipation. It shouldn't feel like that. It shouldn't be that Formula One is so boring that it makes the great moments more special. But that's kind of where we're at. You know, you have all of this terrible racing over the last like fucking 20 years, and then you get, you know, a 2021 title battle. You get Pierre Gasly winning at Monza, Daniel Ricciardo winning there, Miami winning, Lando winning Miami. You know, it's those special moments that remind you why you fell in love with Formula One, and why, despite the fact that we hate it so much, you can't help but tune in everywhere. It's Stockholm syndrome. That's what it fucking is. It's Stockholm syndrome to the highest degree, and it's so frustrating because days like yesterday were fantastic.
This is the Into the Paddock podcast.